Good afternoon or evening, whenever you're watching this recording. My name is Andrea Knowles. I am a student at Louisiana State University in Shreveport. I am currently on internship as a school psychologist in Bossier Parish, Louisiana. My field supervisor is Paul Anderson. In Bossier, we have 36 schools with approximately 22,000 students. And of those students, we have more than 3,000 with individualized education plans. The student to teacher ratio is 18:1, and the graduation rate for 2017-2018 was recorded at 85.7%. So that's pretty good. My responsibilities for Bossier. I am a full-time employee, even though I'm still a student. I work under a provisional license that's good for a year. I have a team of 3, which is my supervisor, Paul, who is acting as our social worker, and we have an ed die, Jolie, and that's pretty typical. There's either 3 to 4 people per team, and the school psychologist can provide the social work. So that's the role that Paul is filling while I provide the school psychologist services. I am the coordinator for 2 schools. One is an elementary school and the other is a full K-12 school. I'm responsible for all the SPED evals and any psychological services that need to be provided on campus. As for the other 3 schools, I come in and I provide my services on a consultation basis. They'll need an IQ test or some rating scales, and that's when I come in and help them out with their evaluations. I have a great team though. Just a quick recap of the year before I get into my project. The fall was great. I had a lot of supervision. There wasn't much I did without my supervisor, Paul. He helped me learn the assessments that Bossier uses and taught me the procedures that are required and really just helped me ease into it. At the end of fall, I did participate in a crisis response situation. There was a suicide, and basically they had all hands on deck for school psychologists. We were all there to report to the school the very next day, and we just provided counseling services to the students who wanted to come up there and chat with us. The good things about this year have been the breaks. I love having all the fall breaks, the Christmas break, and spring break, all that with the kids schedule. I really like it. Going into the spring, there is a huge rush of things needing to be done. Not only are you finishing up your old evaluations, the schools are throwing initial evaluations at you by the dozen. And we're also responsible for completing any evaluations for soon to be 9-year-olds that turn 9 in the spring. Then, of course, the coronavirus came around and basically just turned us all into at-home workers. We're still working a full schedule. We've been able to complete any reports that we had all the components for and close out those cases. And then we're providing psychological services through the phone or Google Classrooms, whichever the parent is comfortable with, and just keeping in touch with our students as best as possible that way. So for my case, I would like to introduce you to Johnny. He is a 5th grade male. He is white. He has great attendance. He has been diagnosed with ADHD, and he qualifies for special education services under the exceptionality of OHI and gifted. He has been referred by his general education teachers because of disruptive behavior. For problem identification, we looked at his office discipline referrals. A criteria for most elementary school students is an average of a half of one per year. So they're not supposed to have a lot. And our Johnny has already had 2 this year when we started looking into this, and that was 2 months into school. He has 4 core subject teachers, and we interviewed them all, and they all report that he is constantly disrupting class because he cannot have appropriate social interactions with his peers. This behavior was documented on a program that the whole school uses called Classroom Dojo. They are able to report negative behaviors, which are bad, and they would not reflect well on the student. And they also report the positive, the good behaviors as well. I did go in and do a couple of systematic observations of Johnny. He had about 85%, an average of 85% of on-task behavior. So even with that ADHD, he was still pretty compliant as far as on-task behavior went. We hypothesize that his inappropriate behaviors and outbursts are due to a lack of appropriate social skills. I found a program where they do social skills role playing, and it has different scenarios that you can run through and give the student appropriate responses or chances to respond appropriately, and even tailor them to specific situations that that child is going through. And we also wanted to talk about these issues throughout the week and see what we're doing good and what we're doing bad. All of the progress monitoring was done through the school's dojo, and we kept track of his office discipline referrals as well. So what did the intervention look like? Basically on Mondays, I would meet with Johnny during his enrichment period, and we would go through a social skills role-playing scenario each day. I would print it out and we would work through it. And at the end of the session, he would initial and I would initial that we've been through it. And then on Fridays, I would come back and bring him his favorite chips, which were Takis. And we would sit out on their patio of the school and just kind of talk about how his week has gone, any incidences, if he had been sent to the office. And I would bring the current printout of his dojo points to talk about if he got marked down for negative behavior or not. A good target of his performance was to reduce his negative dojo points by 30% each week, and then to eventually have that problem behavior completely eliminated to where he is able to appropriately handle those outbursts. To ensure that the intervention was implemented accurately and as planned, I would use these printed out sheets, as you can see here. This one is disagreeing appropriately. This really seemed to be one of his biggest problems. He could not handle another student criticizing him or a teacher correcting him. So we hit hard on this about just better ways to handle the situation. And as you can see at the bottom, we would sign our names in the day we completed it. And the results. So as you can see on the baseline, he was averaging 3 negative points a week. And then once the social skills role-playing scenario was introduced, for the first couple weeks, he had no negative reported dojo marks, which is great. On the week of the 21st of October, it looks like he had a spike, and then it comes back down to a lower average of 1.5 per week, which is an improvement over the baseline average of almost 3 negative dojo points. Office discipline referrals, as you can see, prior to the intervention, he had already had 2. And then even though we were doing this intervention, he did acquire 1 more office referral for his bus behavior. He got in a fight with his brother on the bus. So that is that referral. But as you can see from the earlier slide, he did have a reduction in his negative behavior. And overall, we do see that this intervention had a positive effect on his behavior. I would like to have incorporated more incentive and maybe shorter term goals, shorter like weekly goals. I'm not really sure what we could have done, but I think something more could have been done. Such as keeping a simple chart that could give him a quick glance of what his behavior has been looking like that day or even for the rest of the week, and have these small rewards for the positive behavior. He likes to help, so I think it would be good for him to be a class volunteer or a designated helper for certain tasks in class. That way he can get those positive peer interactions, even if it's just handing out papers. He can have those interactions with peers where he's helping them, and there's very little room for negative things to happen. And also, I do think we need to continue to teach him new coping skills, like calmly asking for a designated area for his time out, or to speak with the school psychologist or school counselor when a situation arises that he feels he cannot contain his behavior. Thank you for watching my presentation. If you have any questions or comments, please write on the forum where this recording will be posted, or you can email me at andrea.knowles@bossierschools.org. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.